It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Toronto Argonauts special teams coordinator for the CFL, Coach Mickey McDonald. How are you doing today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Excellent.
Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get started in coaching in professional football?
Well, ever since I was a player, I realized I think I wanted to be a part of this game for as long as I could. And because of my career ending early because of two different injuries, um, my professional head coach eventually, when he lost his job and took over a college job, up here in Canada, gave me a call. He could hire one full-time coach with him, and he dialed my number and asked me if I'd be interested in getting to coaching. So I started off in college, and from there, from my playing days to my coaching days, just making the connections, I made it to the CFL.
Of course, what was that experience like getting started in playing in college football, and where did you go?
So I first started college football at the University of Maine, Black Bears. I went there as a true freshman and played out of I think there was around 30 of us that went there in our first year, and five of us played as true freshmen. And then my sophomore year, I started. My brother joined me though in my sophomore year, but because of his grades, wasn't able to receive a scholarship. So we were looking to transfer at that time and tried to stay and go back home in New Hampshire where we're from. um, I wasn't able to go to the Wildcats because they're a rival team. So my girlfriend at the time was going to McGill University, and about four or five of us decided to try to go up in Canada and play collegiately up there.
Of course, what was that experience like going to Maine Black Bears and getting to play college for them?
Oh, the experience was unbelievable. I loved, loved the opportunity, loved the time there up in Orono. I had a lot of great teammates, an amazing coaching staff, mentors that guided me through my first 2 years, and really taught you the way of life, of having to compete each and every day. No matter what the situation may be, no matter what the injuries were. If you wanted to, get passed by and not practice, there was opportunity for that. So you never wanted to, really ever let that possibility of someone passing you occur. So, you played through injuries. I had shin splints so bad I couldn't really walk one day, and I went out for a two a day. There was no way I was missing practice. So I wanted to keep my starting position. I didn't want anyone to pass me. And, it was just in the culture there. And they did a great job with all our student athletes while we were there. Building that program, Coach Jack Cosgrove and the other coaches on the staff were really great mentors and amazing people.
What was that feeling like getting to put on that Maine Black Bears uniform and getting to represent the state of Maine?
Well, it's obviously it's pretty special because you're putting on the main Black Bear uniform that has a lot of great history there. Mr. Walt Abbott was actually still a teacher there who was a head coach for the program at one time. And he was also a professor there for a couple of their summer courses that they would offer. So a lot of us, athletes from hockey, football, baseball, track, basketball, you name it, field hockey, all the teams that were there, we'd all stay in the summertime because, you always wanted to be the best you could be right at that next level. And you wanted to give your best effort. So a lot of us would stay in the summer. We never would go home. And we had the opportunity to still take classes that the school was able to cover under our scholarships. So I really enjoyed my time. When I was able to put that jersey on, I knew I was respecting and representing every great Maine Black Bear that ever came before me. And my head coach from high school is an alumnus from there. So my first game that I actually was starting in for the Black Bears came in my sophomore year, and they all came to the game. My family, my high school coach, and they were able to watch me play. And in that game, I had 2.5 sacks in my opening start of that year. So for me, those were some special moments to share and treasure those that game with them being there, and then obviously all the support they ever gave me through high school and growing up. So for me, it was pretty special.
What was that transition like from you from going from playing at Maine in the US to going to Canada to play collegiate college?
Yeah, well, it was a little transition. The game was a little slower. There was still some good talent up here playing the game, but it wasn't at the same level as where Maine is at. So, I still enjoyed it. I was able to play football with my brother for another 3 years after that. And for me, that was more important than anything for me to stay with my brother. We're 10 and a half months apart. We're Irish twins, and we grew up together like twins. So, at the end of the day, making that transition, I stood out probably a lot more than I did even at Maine. At the end of my collegiate career at Concordia, I was named the defensive player of the country in my last year there. So I won it for my conference the previous year, but I didn't win it for the whole country. But the time and the I don't know, I guess you could say the brotherhood that I was able to build there with the rest of my teammates, and the friendships and familyness that I was able to have there was pretty special.
Of course, after your collegiate playing career, what was it like getting into coaching professional and coming to the CFL?
Yeah, well, after my playing years, they were in the pro level. They were short-lived due to two different injuries. My first year, I blew my knee, tore my meniscus and my ACL, so I rehabbed with the team. But I just didn't go in and just did my rehab. I'd wake up at 5:45 every morning. Up here in the CFL, there's a rule of only a 4.5-hour day. The players have to be there. Then after that, the rest of the day is free for them. So back then, I would wake up 5:45 in the morning, make sure I'd be the first one at the facilities, wait for the head coach to arrive. He would open the doors. I would set myself up on the therapy beds and start my treatment somewhat on my own, the stuff I could do on my own. Then when the therapist showed up, they would then obviously take care of me. But I'd want to get it done and be out of the way of all the players. I didn't want to be a distraction there for the team. So after I was able to get my treatment done before everyone got there, I would then help out by stirring the Kool-Aid, getting it ready for the guys, laying out some of the towels in the locker room for the players to help the equipment manager out. And then I would go in and start breaking down film with my front seven coach. So one, I could give him a hand, and also for myself be a better player and help the team out any way I could, and better than my knowledge of the game too. So I did that in the morning. Then I would stay till about 10:30, 11 every night. So after all the guys left around 3:00 in the day, I would stay and work in the afternoon with my defensive coordinator at the time was Kavish Reed. And I wanted to learn the back end. I wanted to learn everything I could and also give the hand to these coaches who were working hard. But at that point, I knew, I was like, well, if this doesn't work out, maybe I can get into coaching. So at that point, I knew that that's really what I wanted. I knew in high school I wanted to stay involved in football and be like my high school football coach, who was a great mentor for me. And gave me an opportunity to be able to get a full scholarship at the University of Maine and help me get recruited. So I knew right then and there I wanted to do something along that line. If it was helping young student athletes coming out of high school to have that opportunity, or for myself to just stay in the game and be able to give back just how people were giving back to me.
How was that experience like getting involved in the game and first starting off with the Montreal team, being the
I'm
special team?
sorry, I couldn't hear you there. Would you be able to repeat that again?
How is it like getting started in professional coaching and going to Montreal to start off as a special teams coordinator?
Yeah, so it was pretty unique and ironic how it all worked out. I was hired as the head football coach at Concordia University, where I also played my last 3 years of my college football. But while I was there, the gentleman who hired me, his name was Patrick Boivin, he was actually the athletic director at Concordia, but then left after about 3 years that I was there and became the president of the Montreal Alouettes. And since he was the president, the GM that was working for him was the defensive coordinator for me when I played with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, who I would help out every night and try to help him out and learn the game as much as I could, Tavis Reed. So I had both two guys in my corner who I worked with, who hired me and trusted me at one point in time in their career. And it was so ironic that, all three of us were working under the same organization, together. And who would have thought that ever would have happened? But it was just such a blessing and a great opportunity for me to have that.
Of course, while at Montreal, what were some of the things that you were able to accomplish on the special teams side?
Well, one thing that I really enjoyed accomplishing while I was there. By my second year, we led the league in punt return yardage, and up here, that's a pretty big thing because the CFL game is built around the return game. The special teams is a little different and unique from the NFL. So the special teams is a third of the game up here. You're typically getting anywhere from 5 to 8 returns a game, and the more bigger the returns are, obviously the better chance you have of winning that field position during that game. So I always took a lot of pride in the return game and trying to get some big returns to set up the offense and some scoring positions and to help and be a contributor to the win, right? So that was one thing that I really enjoyed and happy that we did. And also working with a lot of great athletes and great men. These guys, a lot of them, their families stay living in the States. They don't move up here with them for the 6 months that we're up here playing. So, there's a lot of sacrifice going on, and to see everyone really pull together and really work towards the same goal and expectations that we all want at the end of the day is pretty special.
Of course, what was that experience like being the special teams coach, but also the linebackers
Yeah,
coach?
I did that in my third year there, and I didn't enjoy it too much. I played linebacker. I love the defense. I have a defensive mentality mindset. And I do love defense, but doing the linebackers and being the special teams coordinator, it was just a lot. I didn't have an assistant either at the time. So and the defensive guys who were in charge of our meeting times weren't always organized. So I would lose time in my day, which I'm not too happy about because I'm a very organized guy. Everything just has to be just right. And, I have everything laid out days before my actual day starts. So, for me, there was a lot on my plate. And if I could go back and do anything, I don't know if I'd want the linebacker coaching job again because I couldn't enjoy the special teams as much.
Of course, how is that transition like from going from Montreal to Toronto and being the special teams coach at Toronto?
Yeah, well, I can't tell you how blessed I feel ending up in an organization like the Toronto Argonauts. You want to talk about professionalism and people working around you who are giving everything they have at the same time. There's something to be said about the Toronto Argonauts and the ownership and under the umbrella of MLSE and what they stand for. It's just something that's so special that, I just each and every day I count my blessings being up here coaching with these guys.
What was that feeling like coming to Toronto Argonauts and getting to put on that the coaching uniform, same colors as your main Black Bears colors?
Yeah, it was pretty unique. I love the color blue. Always have, and maybe it's because I went to Maine on a full ride coming out of high school, and when I was a young kid, that was pretty exciting times for me. So to be here in such a big city, and it's a beautiful city, and there's so much to do and so much to offer anyone around, and there's such big attractions up here. You have the Maple Leafs, you have the Toronto Raptors, you have the TFC soccer team. So and then obviously you have your Toronto Argonauts, who are the Grey Cup defending champs, and what a unique city to be in. People are great here, so friendly. I can't tell you enough how blessed I feel to be here.
What does a typical game day look like for you as a coach at Toronto Argonauts?
Yeah, so if game starts at 7, I usually get in the office around 3. Just pretty much make my way through the locker room, say what's up to the guys, as they're coming through, and mentally just start getting prepared with all your notes that you had, written through the week or the prior weeks, prepping for the games, and just really understanding your schemes, what you want to call, how you want to call it, knowing the weather, how much wind there is, how much, sun, if it's going to be in the eyes, what direction you want to go with opening kickoff or not. All those little things, you just try to rehearse everything that to make sure you're ready to hit the ground running when you get out there.
Of course, on game day, do you have any game day routines and rituals as a coach?
No, not really. I do wear similar shirts for pregame, then I put another shirt on for the game. So really it has to do with the clothing more than it has of other rituals. I always though I shouldn't say I really don't. I always FaceTime my family before every game if they're not here. I FaceTime my wife and kids back home, and they all tell me good luck. So that's something I do when I go out on the field. Well before the game starts, as players are just doing their own little warm-ups, not even in their uniforms yet. So that's something I do. They call me each time.
Of course, what does that home game atmosphere look like at Toronto Argonauts?
Well, it's a pretty exciting one. The fans are, making their way out through pregame tailgating, and the excitement's starting to build. It's pretty special, and just seeing familiar faces coming out. It's always great when you can tie someone into the game itself that is a fan that makes it all happen, makes it, pretty special for us to have this league running up here. So, I enjoy our fans. They're great supporters. They come out to practices as well, and to be able to see them through the week and then on game day. And walking away with a victory and a smile on their face, it makes you feel like you're doing something right.
Who are some of the teams that you faced in the CFL?
So on the East Coast, you have the Ottawa Red Blacks, the Hamilton Tiger Cats, and the Montreal Alouettes, and that's the Eastern Division. In the Western Division, you have the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, who we defeated in the Grey Cup last year in 2022. Then you have the BC Lions, you have the Edmonton Elks, and then you have Saskatchewan Roughriders, and then the last team is the Calgary Stampeders. So over there's 5 teams. There's 4 teams in the East, so the West has one more team than we do.
Of course, what is that like getting to face the teams in the East, but also getting to face teams in the West?
Well, it's obviously each game means something, as you know. Every game counts. We have an approach here that we go 1-0 each week, and that's our main focus. But obviously, when you beat an opponent in your own division, it definitely helps you as you have that race for the playoffs. So, for us, it's always an excited. It is exciting each and every week because of a lot of the teams out west usually have a better record, and they usually in the past have been more difficult to beat. But this year, I think the head-to-head records from the East to the West, the East has come out on top, and that's the first time in a long time. So, it's pretty special.
What is that like getting to face teams like BC Lions away versus having Winnipeg come home and play y'all?
Well, the flight's a little long, and then sometimes you go out there 2 days before the game, but typically it's usually a day before the game, and then because they have a 3-hour time change, and then you catch the red eye, you jump on your jet right after the game ends, and you fly back through the night on a red eye. So and then you're up that day breaking down the film, moving on, getting ready for the next opponent. So when you have those further travels out west, it does eat up your day if you have a shorter week or not a shorter week. And, your schedules can change quite frequently depending on how it's all laid out.
As a special teams coach, what is that experience like getting to coach your special teams, like your kickers, your long snappers like Adam?
Yeah, it's pretty special because you're able to build a great relationship with these guys, and primarily, as a special teams coordinator, you actually get to work with every guy on the football team, right? And it's probably the only coach that's able to do that because everyone else is focused on one side or the other. So for me, I really enjoy that part because I really can get to know the guys. And you coach every guy different. Everyone's a little, has their ways about them, and you work with that. But with my specialists alone, just the kickers and long snappers, we have a great core group. We have a lot of fun. There's a lot of joking that goes around, teasing. But the guys have the right attitude, and they come into work every day looking to get better, wanting to get better. And that goes for the whole team, and that's something special that I enjoy. With the group, I always try to make sure they're all having a little fun because inside of us all adults, there's always a little kid there still. So, each week of our game, I give out a special teams championship belt to the player who represented the team the best. And then, whoever wins that belt at the end of the next following week on our day 4, our day before the game, they come in as an entrance of a theme of a wrestler or of a boxer that that they maybe looked up to, who they like, and so we get to have a little fun with that. They dress up in the costumes of a Hulk Hogan or Ultimate Warrior, Undertaker, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and they do their main theme entrance to our meeting. So I always try to bring a little flavor to that because at the end of the day, when you wake up every day and you're doing something that you do love, it's still mentally challenging and draining. So I always want to make sure I'm bringing a little fun to the group.
Of course, as a coach, what are some of the things that you're looking at those future CFL players when out scouting them?
Well, obviously size and ability and what they've been showing on film. But, for me, I like a guy with a great FBI already on him. And by them already having a good football IQ really helps out myself as I get them in the building here, that I can do more with them in my own scheme. The better they're able to adapt, and even on the fly in games where we have a couple design plays already drawn up that we have to make a change or two, that they're able to adapt right there on the sideline in the game, depending on what we're seeing on from the sideline on the field.
Of course, what has that been like, obviously looking at those players in Canada that already have that Canadian football experience versus coming to the US and looking at these college athletes?
Yeah, me being from the U.S. And coming up here and first really trying to understand the game, the motion that's going on the offensive side, and receivers are moving, vertically, horizontally, and are all moving at the same time. That is definitely something you'd never see down there, right? So there isn't a little adjustment, and the same goes for special teams. When we punt, I can have all 5-6 guys moving out there, and they don't have to be lined up in any specific order. So you can get pretty creative up here with the game itself, make it really interesting and a lot of fun. And then also, because of special teams, there's no fair catch, so every ball that's kicked you got to catch, and if you don't, the opposing team who kicks it, anyone of the kicker and anyone behind him, when he makes contact with the ball, they're eligible to run down and go grab the ball themselves. So you got to get on the ball pretty quick, be able to catch it in the air, and then try to get vertical and get some returns going.
Of course, how was that experience like getting to coach in this previous Grey Cup against Winnipeg?
It was probably the best experience of my lifetime besides my kids being born. It was pretty special. It's something that, for me as a young child who wanted to win championships and live in that moment, in that time, and realistically, I never really had that opportunity to win one. Through all the years I was playing, Little League, you didn't have a championship. You just team with the best record won. So I never had that like playoff opportunity, and to go through at high school when I was a player, we lost in the semifinals. So I never really had the chance to get there. Baseball, we lost in the championship game. So, for me, it was all those opportunities that I had ever since I was a young child, going through sports and trying to be the best I could be, and having the opportunity to come full circle when I became a coach. It just brought me back to all those childhood dreams that I had, and to live the moment with my brother at the game, my wife at the game, and to have them there, obviously winning it with all the players and the other coaches. It was just something that, you wish everyone could experience.
As a coach, what was that feeling like the first time you hoisted up that Grey Cup for the first time?
Yeah, it was special. It was special. It's a moment I'll never forget. But I can tell you this, it also gave me a taste in my mouth that I always want to keep tasting. When you win, you want to keep winning, and there's nothing more that you want after the fact. So even after we won, I was jogging off the field, and I looked at the head coach and I said, "Hey, let's start getting ready for next year." Like I tried to enjoy that moment, and I had a good probably 10 to 15 minutes of that moment, but I was already thinking of the next season, and wanted to chase the Grey Cup again.
Of course, what are some of your future plans with the Toronto Argonauts special teams?
I'm sorry.
What are some of your future plans with the special teams?
Yeah, so they just offered me an extension on my contract, so I accepted the extensions. And for me to be the special teams coordinator, that's the job I have right now. I never look ahead for what's next and what I should be doing or looking for. I truly believe in being in a position and being the best coach that you are in that position right then in that moment. When everything comes, if it's other jobs or opportunities come your way, they'll come when it's the right time. I am a firm believer in this game that you must be patient. You must always be willing to learn and grow as a coach. And that's something that I've always stuck to my whole life. So, while I'm a special teams coordinator here in Toronto Argonauts, I want to be the best special teams coordinator for these players that are here, for this organization, especially for them, believing in me and hiring me here, to be their coach.
What advice would you give those college football players out there that are looking to go play professionally, whether it's the NFL, CFL, or even XFL?
Yeah, you keep your nose clean, always work hard. Never let anyone doubt you or tell you that you can't make it. Anything is possible. You just keep believing in yourself, and sky's the limit. And if you think you're working hard, you're not. So you got to make sure you're giving it extra each and every day, because there's someone out there who wants the same dreams, has the same expectations, and they have the same wants in life that you do. So you always got to wake up and be able to push yourself each and every day.
What advice would you give those future and current professional athletes in the CFL?
I'm sorry.
What advice would you give future players that are looking to play in the CFL?
Yeah. Well, the one advice I would tell them is be ready to be, to sacrifice something in your life to be here. Not everyone's fortunate enough to take their families up here and live with them. So, when you want to do something, and if it does matter to you, and if you love the game enough to be able to leave anything behind and make that jump, then you'll be able to make it up here. It's not the best way to, because you're young. Some people have young families, some don't have a family, some don't have a wife, they're on their own, so they're able to make the leave and make the jump up here. But I can tell you, you're opening up many more doors when you come to Canada, and opportunities for yourself in life alone, not just in the game. Right. There's more that gives you an opportunity in life coming up here and playing in the CFL.
What advice would you give those coaches that are looking to get into coaching professionally, whether it's the NFL, XFL, CFL, or another football professional league?
Yeah, what I would tell them is, Obviously, I wake up every day. I never feel like I have a job, so I really do enjoy it. But be prepared to give up a lot. You know, my family does not live with me. They live in the States. So I'm up here 6.5 months out of the year, and I'm not with my wife and my two younger kids. And yes, it's not easy. And I'm still able to wake up every day and enjoy what I'm doing. But you're going to sacrifice something in life. And you got to make that decision before you jump into it, because if you don't, it's going to be hard on you.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find the Toronto Argonauts on social media along with you at?
I'm sorry?
Where can my listeners find the team at on social media along with you at?
Yeah, so there's a couple of spots. You could go to the CFL.ca. That has all the teams in the league. And then obviously you can go to the Toronto Argonauts.ca as well. And that's where you'll be able to find our roster, our organization, everyone who's involved in our in the franchise. And again, it's something that's pretty special. So if people have an opportunity to go and check it out, there's many more doors for people to, chase their dreams and goals in life, and to keep themselves driven.
Thank you again, Mickey Donovan, for your interview, and best luck in your future with the Toronto Argonauts as the special teams coordinator.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for having me on your show, brother.
Thank you. You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Mickey, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Thank you. All the best.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.